Where exactly have we come from? Where are we headed? Why are we here? Why does this process matter? And I think we can begin with you, Kwesi. And really, what does international tax cooperation mean in the first place? Why are we even here?
Well, I mean, to start off, for almost a century, the international community have tried to kind of develop a framework that would allow us to be able to essentially distribute the tax revenues around the world properly or fairly. This was started way back by the League of Nations. We've transitioned, and post the Second World War, essentially the Allied forces, those that were on the winning side, came out with a framework dominated by essentially the West, Europe and North America, essentially, designed a framework that essentially prioritizes their needs and their interests over the rest of the world, particularly the global south. And remember, before the end of the Second World War, most of the countries, especially in Africa, were still under colonial governance. And so we were basically not part of the conversations. Now we've transitioned. It's been over almost 80 years. We've transitioned. The world has changed. The world economy has changed dramatically. And yet, those systems have not changed. And so, in the new century, essentially, given also the fact that actually the population of the global south at several times more than the global north. And yet, when you flip the global tax rules, it gives more than the fair share of northern economies, essentially developed economies. And so there ought to be a change to reflect both the economic activities that are taking place in the global south as well as in the north. And then also the recognition of the fact that countries have since, we've moved beyond, being hewers of wood and drawers of water that countries were under when those structures were put in place back post the Second World War. So essentially, that's the kind of the long history. But I think just to conclude with this, 10 years ago, particularly during the culmination of the Sustainable Development Goals in 2015, I think civil society and many global south countries saw the need for us to press for a change in the global, basically the international financial architecture, to allow us to be able to optimize our capacity to raise resources to fund the Sustainable Development Goals. And so 10 years into the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, here we are still trying to figure out a way to correct the wrongs of the last 80 years to ensure that we're able to fund our development and move our population into the 21st century. So that's just a bit about the background to where we are today.